Hey everyone, this is Stephanie O'Brien, Group Program Design Specialist. I'm here today with Eli, and we're going to talk about his journey from serving one person at a time to serving as many people at a time as he wants. We're going to talk about some of the lessons he learned along the way, some of the obstacles he ran into, and the advice he has for people who are going on that journey as well. So, really glad to have you, Eli.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. It's my pleasure to be here. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Awesome. So, why don't we start with you telling a little bit about who you serve and how you serve them?
Yeah. So my clients are primarily speakers, coaches, consultants, people in the expert space per se. And what we do is we help them build systems to automate the back end of their processes. Because as a speaker, primarily, you get out there, you speak, you meet a lot of people. Sometimes, depending on how you're speaking, if you're selling from stage, you end up having people who they sell right then and there. And you got 10% of the room actually says, yes, I love this stuff. Here's my credit card. What do you do with the other 90%? Most people do nothing, and that's the problem. And so what we do is we help people build that kind of system to follow up behind the scenes, because people will come back. They'll buy next week, next month, next year, sometimes even a decade later. My personal running joke, and this is my fun part, is the fact that I could literally go outside and get hit by a bus today. I'm still going to sell you stuff for 3 more years. It's all automated. And so that's what we do. That's how we help our clients build better relationships and not have to worry about the day-to-day follow-up, because quite honestly, they're going to forget. We're human beings. We get busy. We drop the ball.
And even if they do remember, it is so time consuming to do it all manually, especially when you've
Yep,
got a lot of follow-ups to do.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, it sounds like you're serving a lot of people at a time through these automations. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about that so the audience can learn from the journey you went on that way.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, well, first led you to make that switch from serving people one-on-one and following up with people one-on-one to doing things in a more group automated way.
The biggest thing was figuring out, like, as an example, like I was talking about as a speaker, when I first became a speaker, I had, maybe I might speak in front of a group of 100 people and I might close 10 people in the room, but I had 90 people that weren't doing anything. I'm like, okay, I need to follow up with those people. And reality is there's no way you're going to do that by calling or emailing them one at a time. It's just not going to happen. And then even those 10 people in the room, that's awesome. But what about next month? If you're already working with 10 people, can you take on another 10 one-on-one clients? And I realized that as I was growing my business, I literally ran out of time to market my business because I was serving the clients I had, but it was always a feast or famine. When those people went through their flow, their process of working with me, they would fall off, but I was so busy working with them, I wasn't bringing new people in at the time. And so that's where I was like, I've got to leverage this. And so that's where we started doing group related stuff. And quite honestly, our clients get better results that way.
Yeah, it is so easy if you're spending all your time on your existing clients to have your business become vulnerable to any loss of clients that happens. If your cash flow is dependent on keeping those clients and you don't keep them and you haven't brought any more new ones in. Yeah, I've actually been there. I was dependent on a few clients and wasn't doing enough to bring in new clients, and then they left, and then okay, financial rough spot.
Yep. And that's the entrepreneur roller coaster. And that's what we've, as we grow, I've been doing this I've been in business for over 25 years. This is actually my second company. My first company was web and graphic design agency. And we did have some of the same kind of things there. But I realized that up and down roller coaster, that's not uncommon, but we've got to figure out how to always keep that going so you don't have as much of a bump if that happens. And that's literally where looking at how can you serve more people at once can make a difference, because it leverages your time. And like I said, I know from my own clients, they actually get better results when we work in groups.
As actually said in another recent interview, as a client of coaches, I found that sometimes I have a question, but it doesn't occur to me to ask it. And then somebody else will ask the question and I'll go, oh, I needed to know that too. I totally forgot to ask it.
Yeah. It's really funny because we, as one-on-one, and the biggest thing is when somebody first comes in, they're like, well, I want to work with you. I don't want to do the group thing. I'm like, no, you'll get more out of it. And I put them in that situation where they'll join a group call and they'll run into that exact same situation where somebody else has a problem that they didn't even know they had yet. But now they're like, oh, wait a minute. I see where that was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
It's already solved before it even came up as an issue. Great. And
Yeah,
so now,
they can watch other people walk into the tiger pit ahead of them.
exactly. Yeah. And it makes a huge difference. And then they feel part of the community that goes along with it too. And then they're even, the great thing about it is you get that mastermind effect. And, my thing with mastermind is 1 + 1 = 3. So you have great ideas and I have great ideas, but the two of us together, bouncing our ideas together, are going to be even better than either one of us would ever come up with by ourselves. And imagine if you've got 10, 20 people that are all working together. It's not the Eli show anymore, which is great because, number one, they get better results, which is what we really want more than anything else. But the second thing is I don't have to work so hard. I'll let them do some of it.
Yeah. And you're having more clients at a time, you have more of a cushion. If you got 10 clients, losing one is going to make a bigger difference than if you have 100 clients and you lose one.
Exactly. Yep.
So on to the next question. So while you were making this transition, what challenges did you encounter along the way and how did you overcome them?
Really the biggest challenge was, well, there's two different challenges with that. The first one was resistance from clients who thought they weren't going to get as good of a service going to a group situation as they would in a one-on-one situation. And the biggest thing is, that you throw them into it and say, I want you just to try it for a month and see. And then you tell me what you think. And that usually solved the problem. Because you've got that kind of situation there. They feel like they're not going to get as good of a service or not as hands-on with you. And reality is, like I've said a couple of times now, they actually will get better results. The second thing is figuring out how to package your knowledge better in a way that can be feasible to work in a group situation. And that was one of the things, like even one of my programs, we've been doing actually a done for you service as another level of our business. Been doing that for a very, very long time, since like 2015, something like that. Wow. And trying to figure out how we could package that into a group coaching program. So we weren't doing all this implementation. That took some time. And for me personally, I was actually at an event and the speaker was boring. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there doodling on a new notepad and it just came to me and I figured out how to package it. And it's been amazing ever since, because now literally we say, okay, here's what you need to do. Go watch this section of training. And they can go through it. They can watch as many times as they want to. And I can step aside and it leverages my time better.
Yeah, instead of you giving the same lesson over and over to one person at a time. And yeah, and it's actually one of the things I help my clients with if they're dependent on done for you or on one-on-one, on that feedback they get from answering Q&A. I help them to take all that information that they've been giving to one person at a time, all the questions they've been asked, all that, and to organize it into a sequence of events. Okay, here's the first step the client needs to take. Here's the second step. Here's the third step. And just turn all that scattered knowledge into a step-by-step system that people can consistently follow from where they are to where they need to be.
Yeah. And once you've got some practice with it and you get good at doing that flow, getting that practice and documenting and all that kind of stuff, you'll get to the point. And this is the point that I love, is that when somebody does jump on a call and they start asking a lot of questions, I'll be like, did you watch the video? Did you watch the training? Well, no, I didn't get a chance to do that. Okay, then we're done. Go watch the training, because I'm answering the questions that are in the training. The training is going to show you exactly what to do.
Yeah, the training is to save your time, and then you're supposed to be spending your personal time answering the questions that arose from the training, not repeating the training.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it, like even for ourselves, we find that, again, we've been doing this for a long time. So it's great for us because we can tell right at first, new people will have a lot of questions. And after a couple of weeks, they start filtering off. And this is the hard thing, is being a coach, because you're like, okay, what's going on? They're not coming back to the calls. Reality is, if you do your job well enough, they don't have questions. And that's what I found personally. I mean, I'll reach out to them. I call them. I'm like, okay, I haven't heard from you for a while. What's going on? They're like, well, I'm busy, but quite honestly, everything just works. So I haven't had any questions for you. Like, you do realize that other people have questions that might help you out as well. Yeah, I should probably come back again. And they come back again for a while. But most of the time, if you do it right, you don't need to help them as much because you did it right to begin with, which then again it goes back to freeing up your time.
Yep, and one thing I like to do to just make sure that people's questions are answered, if they are on the group call and they say they don't have any questions, one thing I actually learned from watching a coach that I was working with, he would ask if anybody had any questions, and there would just be dead air, and it was awkward, and it wasn't helping anyone.
Yep.
Different coach actually tried, when people got onto the call, he would take each name as they got onto the call. Hey, I just heard somebody wants to get onto the call. Please give me your name. And then each person he would ask, okay, do you have any questions? Oh, no questions? Well, give me an update on what's going on for you this week.
Yep.
What have you been doing? What obstacles have you run into? Sometimes they actually had questions and obstacles. They just hadn't figured out how to ask about it. So
oh, definitely.
That's a good way to make sure that people get the results that they're looking for, even if they don't know what to ask.
Right. And that's one reason why group calls are so good, because a lot of times you'll even have, as somebody has a question, it'll spark an idea for somebody else. And they're like,
yeah,
oh, wait a minute. I didn't think I had something, but that brings up something I need to think about now.
Yeah, I've definitely had that.
Yeah. And I get those a lot. That's one of my favorite ones, because then we start having kind of a brainstorming session, and somebody can share where their experience is, and somebody else will be like, okay, well, how did you deal with this and this when it came up? And I don't even have to touch it. I'll just let them talk. And then I can give them some feedback or some thoughts and ideas how to make it better. But they've already set the groundwork, which, again, if it's other people, mastermind, that idea of people feeding off of each other always is going to give you better results than one person by themselves. Because reality is, we may be really knowledgeable. I am awesome at what I do. I do not hide that in any way, shape, or form. But you know what? I don't know everything, and I can't think of everything. Somebody else is going to come up with stuff that I haven't thought about before.
Yeah, a whole group of brains is better than one.
Exactly. It always will be. There's no such thing as the perfect coach. Perfect coach is somebody who's willing to listen and bring other people in to give them ideas as well.
Absolutely. So, on to the next question. I want to make sure we get all through all of them. So if you could give people who are considering making the switch from one-on-one to teaching one-on-many one piece of advice other than the ones we've already talked about, what would that piece of advice be?
The short answer is just do it. Seriously, just take a jump into it, but go through and just map out, okay, this is what I do in a one-on-one situation. How can I package nuggets of that into a group situation or self-paced situation? And how can we change that from one-on-one, my time for every single person, to how can we build a group scenario to pull me out of the picture so I can work on other things? And that question is, I want you to ask that, as just as I said it, ask yourself those questions, because that will make a big difference in thinking about how to structure your group program. You may find some things are just not going to work for you, and some things you may think aren't going to work for you. But if you can basically put your feet in the water and say, okay, for this phase, I'm going to go a hybrid. It's going to be part one-on-one and part group. And you test the waters and see how it works, because then you're probably going to find out you really like it, and you're going to want to do more of that.
And that willingness to test the waters and to tell yourself, hey, this is just an experiment. It can make things so much easier to try out. You're saying, I'm going to marry this idea and stick with it for the rest of my life. That can just be too daunting, and honestly can be a bad idea, because sometimes you'll try things and that just won't be a good fit for you. Sometimes it can be a good idea to just test it and find out, okay, this particular way of doing things didn't work. But if I try it a different way, I try something similar, but make this, and this tweak to resolve those issues that made it not work, then it'll work.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about it. We live in a world, especially when you're in that coaching, consulting kind of arena, that things can be fluid. And you may try something and very quickly realize, I hate this, I can't do it this way, and go back to the way you were doing it. You may come into it and go, okay, I'll try this. And then, like me, and this is where I found even most of my clients that I work with, as we start adjusting how they do some of this stuff, they start realizing, okay, this is kind of fun. What else can we do that with? I'm an automation guy. So as soon as I get one or two campaigns with a client working with that are just automatically working, they're like, what else can I automate? Can I automate everything? I'm like, almost. So let's automate everything you can. I mean, I always have my running thing is let's go for entrepreneur ADD. Automate everything you can, delegate what you can't, and delete the crap you shouldn't be doing anyway. And
An
that's where
interesting
you get.
acronym. I haven't heard that one before. I like that.
Yeah, I made that up. So that's actually going to be the title of my next book.
Oh, cool. So, so, how have your life and business changed since you switched from working with people one-on-one to working with groups? Yeah, obviously you'll have saved a lot of time on this and probably working with more
Yeah.
people. Are there any other impacts you've noticed this has had on your business and life?
The biggest one obviously is the leverage of time. It allows me to have more time to focus on other things. The other thing that I love doing, I love speaking. I am a speaker, whether it be speaking on stage when we can be in person. I love that kind of stuff. To doing podcast interviews, things like this. It gives me more time to do those kind of things because I do enjoy, meeting cool people. That's my thing. That's my motto, right?
I can see the hashtag above your head.
Exactly. Right above my head says hashtag meet cool people. That gives me the time to do that. And if, my automation by itself gives me like, it does the work of 2 full-time employees without me touching it.
Nice.
That's one piece of the puzzle. So you took that. I mean, I have literally one strategy that I built for starting for myself and then for clients that literally saved me 5 hours a week by itself. Then you automate other stuff. And then you look at group coaching versus one-on-one coaching. And next thing you know, your really heavy work is like 5 hours a week. And the rest of it is making more connections. I mean, obviously you want to grow your business. That is about meeting cool people, about meeting other people that can help you grow your business. If I can spend all day doing that, that's great. That's what I love doing. And so it gives me the freedom to do that, which is huge.
Yeah, it does sound like a serious and very positive impact on your business. So all in all that, I've heard a lot of people, actually coaches, expressing worry that they wouldn't be able to serve their clients as well in groups as opposed to one-on-one. And maybe in some cases that's true. There are some subjects that are so sensitive and private that people might not be willing to talk about them in groups, or some people's style is just so suited to one-on-one that that's where they specialize. But for a lot of people, I think they can free up so much time, get their clients better results, and have an impact on so many more lives by giving themselves this freedom. And even if they want to keep on coaching one-on-one, they can make that like a deluxe VIP package that they offer to a few people while supplementing it with this group program that enables them to serve more people at a time.
Well, and that's another big piece with it too, is it leverages you to be able to make more money, because making money is not a bad thing. As long as you're providing value with that exchange, there's nothing wrong with it. And reality is, I think it's a moral obligation to make as much money as possible, because that helps you make an impact on more people. Whether you want to, if you want to buy the fancy car in the house, all that kind of stuff, that's awesome. But if you want to give it all away, or you want to leverage your time by having group programs so you can go work in a shelter or whatever it is. I mean, for me, one of my favorite things to do is, you go back to that phrase, money can't buy happiness. Nobody gives you the ability to do those things. Like for me personally, when I can take my friends out or take my family out to dinner, just last month. I was actually in Vegas and my parents happened to be there at the same time. My dad is an old school Raiders fan and they have the Raiders restaurant. I took him to the Raiders restaurant and it's a nice restaurant. And the fact that I could just go take it. I mean, he got to bask in all the stuff that's on the walls and all that kind of stuff. He loved it. And the fact that I could just do that without having to think, that made me happy. And so making more money is a huge thing. You just got to use the money for the right purposes, however that looks to you. And everybody's different. But by having a group program that gives you that ability, then it also gives you the ability to pick those one-on-one clients you do want to work with. You can be much more selective with them. And that is huge.
Yeah, you don't end up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's nothing worse than having a one-on-one client that you have to talk to every week that drives you batty and you just want to throttle them.
Yeah, and it's bad for the clients too when you get a bad client who just isn't willing to do what it takes to change and improve, because then they pay money, they spend time, they don't get the results. So it's so much better to just work with people you enjoy working with, who enjoy working with you, and who will actually do what it takes to get the results. Both of you are happier through the process and through the outcome.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
as for that whole thing about money, I forget who said it. It might have been Laurel Langmeyer, but basically, money is freedom. It's the freedom to be able to do what you want to do.
Yep. Yeah. My definition is it gives you the ability to do what you want, when you want, how you want, where you want, with whom you want.
Pretty much. So, if people want to work with you to automate their business and to get more of that freedom, what would be their first step?
First step is just connect with me. Go to connectwithely.com, and it's ELY. Connectwithely.com. You can find me on all the social media sites. You can download my contact card. You can even book a call to chat with me. I'm a totally approachable person because, again, like the little banner above my head says, I like to meet cool people. So it's not a sales call. It's literally, let's get to know each other. If I do think I can help you, we'll have that conversation. And if I don't, then I'm happy to let you know that as well. And if you don't even want to hear the pitch, that's perfectly fine too. I just like to meet cool people. But that's the easiest way. And definitely, please make one thing with that. If you reach out to me, whether it be on a social media site or book a call or whatever, mention that you heard me here, because that's going to put you at the top of the list. I always like to know, how did we get connected? And I get no less than 10 friend requests on Facebook a day.
Wow.
The ones that send me a message and say, I heard you on Stephanie's show, they're going to get priority. So definitely make sure you just send a quick message with it saying, hey, I heard you. If there's something that resonated, you might bring that up too. By the way, that's a cool little trick. If you want to connect with people, do that. You want somebody to pay attention to you, do that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Not just, yeah, not just with me, somebody else. Do with somebody else do.
Yeah, I know. I sometimes get friend requests like, who are you? Okay, guy, single, with basically nothing on his profile but a few pictures of him flexing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it definitely helps when people tell me who they are, how we met, so that I know that, this is a real person, not a bot or a spammer or some person who has no reason to contact me.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your journey today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me. I love the opportunity. I love this stuff. If you haven't been able to figure it out, I love sharing this stuff. It's fun.
Oh, really?
Anytime. Oh, yeah. I love talking about this stuff anytime I possibly can, and that's the cool thing about all this other stuff. Group programs, automation, all that stuff gives me the time to be able to do this, because it's not a matter of, I can't do this because I have this client situation I have to deal with. Like, my client calls are twice a week. I have one call on Tuesday, one call on Thursday. I do have some one-on-one clients. I have a couple of those calls on Monday. That's it. And the rest of
your time.
The rest of it is I get to do stuff like this, which is fun. It's awesome.
Nice. Oh, it was great speaking with you. And so for everybody watching, please make sure that you connect with Ely. Depending on where you're watching this, whether it's on YouTube or via social media post or on the blog, the link should be in the video description, on the social media post, or in the blog post. And if you want to learn more about how to take your expertise and package it into a group program, so you've got all that automation, that time freedom, that ability to decide whether you want to serve your clients in group calls, in pre-recorded materials, and some hybrid of both, please check out the links. I've got a link to a book that gives you a written walkthrough of the entire thing, and you'll also have the option to book a coaching call with me so you can get walked through it in real time. So those links will be in the description or in the blog post. If you'll check them out, and in the meantime, I hope you all create an amazing day.